Guys, thank you for having me on the show.
You're an absolute pleasure, and thank you for spending the time coming out here today, by the way. So Anthony, you've got a very inspiring story that I want to kind of delve into today. I understand that you had a stroke, a tumour at 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you tell us a story around this?
Yeah. So I'm a motivational speaker, a para athlete, and also a fitness coach. So at the age of 6 years old, I was just your happy, active, normal child. And I started getting these really bad headaches. And what they found was, after having a brain scan, I had a brain tumour the size of a tennis ball. And what they found was this brain tumour was shutting down my vital organs. So they had to get this operation done to remove it as quickly as possible. Otherwise, I literally wouldn't survive. During the operation to remove this tumour, I suffered a stroke. So I lost the use of my left side. So I went from being very active, very sporty, to then having to relearn how to walk and relearning how to live life with one hand. Kind of really turned my life upside down. Doctors said to my parents I probably would never be very active or very sporty ever again. But fast forward 20 years, I have now represented England at the World Championships for the 800 metres and the 1500 metres, winning gold in both. So I've gone from not much hope of a life to now being a world champion.
Wow.
And my aim is to now inspire others to do the same, because if I can do it and achieve, then so can anyone.
Amazing, bro. That's very, very inspirational, Anthony. Amazing how far you've come on that journey. And so take us back to when it happened. Do you remember having a stroke and stuff
it was kind of very demoralizing and upsetting for me as a child. I was only supposed to go in and have this operation to remove the tumor, then back to a normal life. Totally turned my world upside down. I was in a wheelchair for a good 3 months, and I just remember hating it. I became very down on myself, very self-conscious and shy. I was away from school for about a year, and eventually I was allowed to go back to school. And
this was when you was like 6 or 7 years old.
Seven years old. Yeah.
So that was a really young age.
And even though kids did their best to include me in everything they did, for me it just wasn't the same. And teachers, they were too scared for me to go outside the playground and playtime. So I had to sit indoors while everyone else went out and enjoyed themselves. And this is when I started thinking to myself as a kid, I wish I'd never survived. Why am I still here? It's not how like a child should be thinking.
No, I totally agree.
So now you had obviously the physical stuff happen to you, and then you had the psychological kind of aspects to get through.
Yeah, and that would have been quite tough. And you know, I can definitely have compassion and empathy towards how you might have felt at that period of time. By the way, so. You know, and then so we met in secondary school.
In secondary school, yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of psychological bit started quite early for you.
Yeah, so primary school.
And you were still kind of trying to reconcile that a lot, even in secondary.
And I was always very embarrassed of who I had now become, because I was the only disabled kid in the whole school. So that's another thing I had to kind of overcome. I've got a disability. I have to overcome this new way of life. And back then, kind of disability, no one knew how to deal with it. There wasn't anything for people with disabilities. And our school that we went to only had able-bodied kids. So
they
didn't know how to help me, kind of.
I almost sound quite appreciative that you're considering me to be able at this. But yeah, no, I fully... And I was really surprised when you said that as well, by the way, about only one... Like you was the only disabled person at that time, because you know we're not very conscious about these things when we're young. So, so I can definitely understand that. By the way, and you know, and us, you know, when did life start changing for you for kind of a better side of things? Because you've lived in this negative world for a long period of time.
Even in secondary school, is when you start kind of getting interested in girls and your appearance. And I was the only disabled kid in the whole of secondary school as well.
Wow.
And all my self-talk was like, no girl's going to fancy you because you have a disability. girls didn't really talk to me, so I thought no one was interested in me. But where I found where I was most comfortable and where I came out myself was playing sport. So I loved football. So every lunchtime, I would go off and play football with all the football guys. I wasn't comfortable in a social situation talking, and I didn't think I was funny or confident. But when it came to football, I could challenge someone and I could really push myself. I could then say, that person opposite me is not going to get the better of me. I am going to show what I can do. So that's where I kind of came out of my shell.
Okay. Did you kind of use that as more fire for you to prove yourself? That
Yeah. And it was actually how I got into running was actually at secondary school. We were doing a fitness test. So we're doing a 12-minute run. How many laps of the football pitch can do for 12 minutes? And I remember looking around and I just said to myself, there's no way you're coming last in this. You cannot let the lazy, overweight kids beat you in this. So that was my thought focus. So I just went off as hard as I could.
Love that.
And I ran as hard as I could. I actually ended up staying ahead of one of the girls who was one of the top county runners. And I was like, stay ahead. Just keep pushing. For the first lap, I was well ahead. And then I kind of eased off and got tired. But my PE teacher looked at me and goes, that was incredible. Wow. Just like, I've never seen, they never really paid attention to me before. And she said to me, have you ever heard of the Paralympics? And I was like, no, what's that? And they said, well, the Paralympics is like the Olympics, but for people with disabilities. You would be amazing at it. And my reaction was straight away, because I was so self-conscious and shy, my reaction was, no, that's something I definitely don't want to do. Why would I want to do something that shows off my disability? I don't want to do that. So she said, let me talk to your parents. She got my parents in. The first thing she said was, get that boy into a running club.
Wow.
And my parents thought, that's interesting, because he doesn't really do anything else outside of school. So they pushed me into doing that. And that's where things started happening for me.
Amazing, bro.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So it's kind of what we spoke about a bit earlier on, about really kind of taking control of your life and using these negatives and channeling it into
Pushing
something
into
really
positives,
positive. Yeah. And it's quite funny because we almost see these things as a curse or a burden in our lives, and they actually end up being our superpower that we use to go on with.
It wasn't until later in life that I realized my disability is my superpower, because it makes me stand out and be different. If you put people in a group of people in a circle, everyone's going to blend in and look the same. If you stand out, then you're going to get noticed. So use your uniqueness as much as you can, and that's what will help you grow. There was a book that I read during lockdown. It was by David Goggins. It says, Can't Hurt Me. And one of the chapters was Be the Only. And when I read that, it just resonated with me so much. What he said was, he did all his hard training, and when he stepped up to do his triathlon, his ultra triathlon, he looked around and he looked at the others, and he thought to himself, yeah, all these guys, they train hard, they push themselves, but none of them really stand out. And he looked to his left and he saw this guy in a wheelchair get out of his wheelchair and just perch himself on the edge and then dive into the water. And he goes, that guy there, he's the only, he stands out. He's pushed himself far beyond anyone else has. He does hard training, but he's now going above and beyond because he now has a disability as well. And I read that and I thought to myself, that's me. Everything I've ever done in my life, I've always been the only disabled person. Whether it's school, sport, going out with mates, lads, with girls, I was always the only disabled person. And in races, I did a 10,000 meter race in central London with 8,000 people. And I was the only disabled person in the whole race. And I finished in the top 1,000.
No, incredible.
And I said to myself, amazing. I was the only. I just have to push myself to see what I can do.
Yeah. So you kind of had this instilled in you naturally, kind of thing.
Just keep going and keep going and keep going. That's it.
Yeah. See,
that's my drive.
Mindset is everything, isn't it?
Mindset is
it's
everything.
Literally everything. Even though you had like a disability and you had a lot of pressure on you maybe, and then your mindset just pushed you through it. You know what I mean?
It's quite interesting because it can either be your best friend or your worst enemy, your mind, can't it? It can hold you back to such limiting beliefs, or it can take you as far as you want it to take you.
Yeah, like for example, when I was at school, my mindset was, you're worthless, you're disabled, no one's going to like you, no one's going to be interested in you, no girls are ever going to fancy you.
Yeah.
And that just stayed with me for a long, long time. Which
is something that I'd like to think wasn't created too much in the reality, but I thought
it was just me telling myself that, which wasn't really a real thing.
No.
I thought no girls were ever interested in me and I was invisible. But recently I've been doing lots of social media posts, and one of the girls from my old school actually messaged me and goes, I love your channel, all your videos, they're amazing. I remember you at school. You really inspired me. Wow. And I just thought, really? I thought no other girl was interested in me at school. And just to hear that, like, wow, I wish I could go back to my younger self, shake myself and be like, stop saying this to yourself. You're better than you think you are.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that's a big, even in today's society, like there are kids that are watching social media and thinking bad of themselves, even adults.
So social media, like it can be a little bit unhealthy. It can be healthy and it can be unhealthy.
Exactly,
if it's used in the right way, then it can be quite a positive.
So basically, what I'm getting from this is what happened to you changed your view on life, because at that time in kind of a negative way, obviously, but then you turned it into a positive. So now, how has your view on life changed now, like at what you're doing now?
And I went to a motivational talking in London, and it was really inspiring. And the guy on stage said, all you need to be a motivational speaker and change lives is an interesting story. I was like, I have that. And it's especially in the fitness world, in a gym, you'll never ever or very rarely see a disabled person in the gym. And I go in the gym, and when I used to go to the gym, people just stare at me. I think, what is... And I used to get on the treadmill, turn it up to top speed and drive my runs as fast as I could. And the people working there were literally worried for their lives that I might fall off and hurt myself.
Yeah.
And then when they saw me like run at top speed, they're like, what the hell?
Superman. Yeah.
And they're like, you're incredible with your workouts. You can do 100-kilogram deadlifts and things like that. You should show people what you do. And I thought no one would be interested in seeing what I do. So I started posting it on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and it started getting hundreds of thousands of views.
Wow.
People are actually interested in what I do.
Yeah, and a real inspiration as well, to be fair.
And it can inspire other people with disabilities to do the same. I'd love to get other disabled people involved in the gym, or not, because they'd be very shy and scared to go in the gym.
Yeah, because do you know what? The one thing I really like the sound of, so this CrossFit you do, it's in South London?
It's in Essex.
It's in Essex. Oh, okay.
Thurrock, yeah.
And disabled people come to this.
Yeah, so this CrossFit in Essex is the first ever gym that caters just for disabilities in the whole of the UK.
That's amazing.
And you have people from all over the UK going there with all kind of disabilities, and there's just no excuses. Everyone's lifting weights or pushing themselves to the max. And it's so inspiring.
I've seen your videos. Yeah, you're 100% on it, to be fair. So
and it just shows you there really are no excuses to what you can achieve. It's all about whether you push yourself to do it.
Yeah.
And there's people sitting at home on the sofa, fully abled, but sitting on the sofa and not pushing themselves when they can achieve so much.
Yeah.
So when you got into it, what was your hardest setbacks? So did you have any setbacks? Did you ever want to quit? Did you ever feel like, you know what?
This is it. Yeah, so getting to the Paralympics itself is very, very difficult. I got to the World Championships and I won 2 gold medals and I was world champion.
Wow.
But to get to the Paralympics, you have to be top 3 in the world. And although in the World Championships I won the medals, but to get to Paralympics I wasn't at the right speed. So they're not going to take me to the Paralympics, but they'll take me to the World Championships, which is really frustrating.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the experience of it all
is incredible.
Yeah, to even just get to be involved in something like that.
Yeah.
You know, and when we were we had some really good conversations outside of this podcast, but I'm gonna keep using them as reference because it goes back round to very similar things about perspective, about gratitude. You know, to even get to experience what you did through all of that was something absolutely phenomenal. And some people would have loved to have even got halfway where you got to. So, you know, that's a fantastic achievement, by the way.
And I've now kind of used my kind of what I've achieved to help inspire others. I go to schools and do talks to kids to inspire others. And one of the most moving things I did recently is I did a talk at a school, and there was one girl who had a disability in the crowd, in the kind of everyone sitting down, and that just reminded me of when I was at school. I was the only disabled kid in the school, and after my talk, she put her hand up to ask the question, and she said, "I've got a disability too, and you really inspire me." And that just kind of hits your heart, because even when I was at school, I would never have admitted I've got a disability. Really, and for her to say that in front of everyone, that's a really big
empowering
thing.
moment, to be fair.
And from what you say can change maybe their whole life.
Yeah,
that just makes it well worth it.
Absolutely.
It's kind of being that positive change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we feel like we get a lack of it in life, so we have an opportunity to encourage the world to be different or encourage it to be the same. So, you know, taking that level of responsibility on in life is really important, to be fair.
I always said to myself, I didn't go through all those hard times just to be an average person.
Yeah.
I've been through those hard times. Now I'm just going to go and push it, see how far I can really go. And I have to achieve now.
Yeah.
Because it makes all those hard times worth it then.
Yeah. And you know what? It's coming from a mindset of being deserving, like feeling like you actually deserve more for yourself. And that's what actually encourages you and motivates you to take it to lengths.
Yeah.
And I think that's what resonated for me when I was growing my business, is feeling like I deserved a bit more for myself, and that always pushed me and encouraged me to want to do better all the time.
Yeah.
So no, I love what you're trying to do. And what's the kind of the future look like for you? What are you
so with my motivational talks, I want to take that around the world, doing talks around the world, so like America, Australia, everywhere I can, and be a world known motivational speaker. Spread the word of positivity.
Absolutely. That's, do you know what that is? It's quite funny in life. It can either be a glass half empty, half full sort of mentality all the time.
That.
And you clearly know what it's like to live in a world where the glass is half empty, but it's amazing how you flip that completely around and are using that to push yourself forward. And not only that, you're actually now trying to inspire other people to do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, and I have got a good story of, well, because I work as a fitness instructor in the gym. The fitness industry was the hardest ever thing for me to get into. So I did my personal trainer qualification, smashed all my exams. The teachers were super impressed. They're like, "You're going to go on to do great, amazing things." But every job interview I went to, they turned me down. I went to 30 to 40 job interviews. They all turned me down, and they said, "You're not what we're looking for. You haven't got the image we're looking for." And one guy said to me, "Look, I'll be honest with you. You can't lift weights with two hands. How do you expect to teach others?" But I said to him, "Look, I lift 100 kilograms with one arm, and I just talk them into doing it with two arms." He goes, "I can't believe it can be done like that." So I actually gave up trying to get a job in a gym.
Really?
And I actually just worked in Morrison's on the counter.
Were they that blatant, by the way? Were they?
One guy was. The rest of them were like, "You haven't got the experience." So then I thought, okay, I'll go get experience. I volunteered for 7 years just to train and learn, and they still were turning me down. So I thought, literally, it's not because of my experience, it's my disability that they don't want to say it. So I did give up, and I started working in just Morrison's, a supermarket.
That, to be honest, you got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. It doesn't, you know, I've just to simply be working and actually putting yourself out there is more than, you know, enough.
The gym I'm at now, they actually gave me a chance, and I'm so grateful for them to give me that chance. And it's paid off because my classes are now the most popular classes of the week. I do multiple things. I've done some media stuff for them as well.
Brilliant.
There is a story that so when I started, there was an exercise class there, which is super popular, busy exercise class with one of the women there, and she was ill, so they wanted someone to cover that class. And I had experience of teaching classes, so I was like, I'll do it. And I walked in there, and I was like, "Morning, everyone! I'm teaching this class today. Blah blah blah. I'm so and so."
Bringing that fire.
Yeah, but the women looked at me and just went, "What? You're teaching?" I was like, "Yeah. I've got experience this and this." And they just started having a conversation amongst themselves, and I could hear them. And they were saying, no, I'm not doing this class. I'm not wasting my time. I'll go to the gym instead. At least I'll get a workout then. Mm-hmm. So I just let them talk, and I waited around. And when I looked up, I noticed that 20 of the women walked out and left.
Wow.
Now, this is the kind of half glass, half full, half empty kind of moment. Mm-hmm. I could have really taken that personally and thought, I'm a terrible fitness instructor. No one's ever going to listen to me. Yeah. But when I looked up, I saw 10 people had stayed. And I thought to myself, that's it. I want to give these 10 people the best class they've ever had because they've believed in me.
Amazing.
So I went super hard. I was getting to extra exercises, jump, go, really kind of going at them till they're red in the face. And afterwards they went to me, that was probably the best class I've ever done. Thank you for that. So I was covering this class for the next few weeks. After a few weeks, word was starting to spread around the gym that this class was super impressive. And it got busier and busier and busier. And now people are complaining that they can't even book onto my classes, so it's really booked.
No, that's brilliant.
Amazing, bro. It just goes to show that your self-image, like what other people think of you, don't determine your own self-image.
It's like don't judge a book by its cover.
Because you got thick skin, instead of you like crumbling, you're like, no, I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to give it my all. But is that something you've developed over the years? Obviously,
oh yeah.
It takes.
The thing I like, by the way, is that once you stop being your own self-critic, you become a bit of like your number one fan.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't almost matter what other people say to some extent because you've already created your internal, you've started sorting out the positive side of things. Mm-hmm. And then you're not reliant on other people's positivity or negativity. You're giving it to yourself already.
One thing I've noticed is you have to kind of spot and recognize when you're negatively talking to yourself. And stop that and think, how can I turn that around into a positive?
It's throwing rationale into the conversation.
It's difficult.
Because I think everything needs to be a little bit more about facts, and this kind of self-talk can either be really negative and you're just creating it out of thin air. It's not like there's a level of reality that's real, but then I think we kind of expand and fantasize on it, and that's what actually complicates the situation. So I think the self-talk bit is fundamental, because then the external, it doesn't matter what environment you're in, you can just persevere. And the thing I love the most is that although it was only 10 people that stayed, you made the best of what you would have almost seemed as a bad situation. You gave it your all, you gave it good energy, you gave it what it deserved, and in the process it's created more opportunity.
So instead of seeing it half empty, they've left, it's half full. These people have stayed, and it meant a lot to me that these people had believed in me. They'd never seen me do this before, but they stayed to believe in me. That meant a lot. That's why I gave everything for them.
There you go. Some people can just be a bit ignorant, and judge a book by its cover, walk out. But if you think it's like, okay, you've got a disability, but you've ended up in this position to take this class, so there must be something extraordinary about you, right? Because you've got to that point where you can, that situation where you can take that class, and it's their loss. That
did make me realise that it's just that they haven't seen it before, so they haven't seen someone with disability doing these things before. So I need to show that more in the world, and it would be better for others in the future who are coming up behind me. Or maybe I can inspire and motivate them to do the same thing that I'm doing, like teaching, exercising, working out.
Absolutely, bro.
One thing I love, by the way, is this place in Essex, how your environment can really kind of shape your growth, or it can hinder you. And in the right environment, you can grow and prosper and be as happy as you want to be. In the wrong environment, it can be suppressing, depressing. It can be, like you can feel like a caged animal. And you know, I can imagine you get a really good buzz out of the CrossFit training over at.
Yeah, it is really good because it's all about who you surround yourself with, really.
Yeah.
In everything you do.
Everything. Yeah. Because the right people will want the best for you, and they'll want to grow with you, and they'll hold themselves accountable, just like we hold each other accountable. Other people are happy just to stay in that comfort zone and make sure that they've got as much company in that comfort zone as possible. And that's always and by the way, like, I don't think there's a right or wrong. So if somebody's happy in that comfort zone, then best of luck to them.
Yeah.
If someone's happy about growing and prospering and doing all of these what some people might think are crazy things, then like also best of luck to them too. At the end of it, it's all about our happiness.
100%. Yeah.
That's the kind of the motive, I suppose.
And it's
in
like
one ways to put it.
every single person has this huge potential to reach anything you want, but we always kind of stick in our comfort zone. And if you don't get out of that, you'll never realize what you can really do.
Yeah,
it's true. It's kind of like you're in a box, isn't it? And it's like it's an illusion kind of thing. And once you've like broken free, you can kind of see, or like climb the ladder and looked over the wall, you can see like there's a whole nother universe.
It's like we said it's like when we said earlier, as a kid, you're like, I want to be a footballer, I want to be an astronaut, but then you're told by your parents, don't be silly, get a proper job.
Bang, limiting,
and then straight away that's limiting you. Just give them some encouragement. They reach for the stars. They might not get to the top, but they will get to there instead of there.
If you fall, you land on the clouds.
It might lead to something else.
You never truly know, isn't it, how far you can go or what you can achieve, but you have to like take them steps, take them actions, have belief in yourself.
Even if it doesn't lead to that big goal, it would lead to something else.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So what would you say keeps you going, Anthony? What keeps you
well, during lockdown, I created a YouTube channel. Well, because everyone was so negative. Oh, it's the end of the world. Oh, it's terrible. I thought, how can I make this a positive? So I created a YouTube channel, told my story. And I saw Joe Wicks was doing all these workouts for kids, and it was going incredibly well. But all I heard on the news was, oh, the disabled people are stuck indoors, they can't go out. The vulnerable are stuck indoors, they can't go out. And I just saw, who's doing exercises for these people? So I thought I would do live workouts for people in their wheelchairs, disabled people, older adults. So I did chair exercise workouts, and my biggest class hit 2,000 people.
Oh, amazing.
And people are calling me disabled version of Joe Wicks, which is kind of like a massive compliment.
See, that's 2,000 people that you've
inspired and helped.
And from leading on from that, I got invited onto Channel 4 Sunday brunch to do my chair workout.
Oh, did you? I love Sunday brunch.
It was
I love Sunday brunch.
It was really good.
Tim Lovejoy.
Yeah.
And the other guy, that bald guy, I can't remember.
The chef guy.
Yeah, the chef.
No one remembers his name.
I love how they're good though. Oh, that's amazing.
Did you go on there? Did you?
How did you find it?
So because it was lockdown, I had to do it from Zoom.
Oh, okay.
But it was still an amazing experience.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Yeah.
You got to get back on there live, on live.
I have to get back on.
You got to follow them up.
But since that, like, I've been posting on YouTube videos of how I do things with my disability, and what I found was people are super interested in what I do. I always thought, I can't post that on social media. People will laugh at me or make fun of me, or no, it'd be embarrassing. But everything I've put on social media has been incredible. So what I've been doing recently is showing how I live life with one hand, how I lift weights with my disability, how I run with a disability. And people are like, that's incredible. I didn't think it was incredible. I thought it was just something I always do. But people, able-bodied people are like, I can't even do that, and I'm able-bodied.
Superpower, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes back round.
Unreal, bro.
Yeah, no. And do you know what? It's, working it, once you do kind of work it out, it's, I kind of feel like I went through a bit of a journey like that where you felt burdened and cursed with something. But once you actually understand what it is that you've got and use it to your advantage, then, you can really turn something into nothing.
Everyone thinks they've got no talent, then they're not good at things, but you are good at something. Yeah. If you put enough work into it, you are good at something.
Yeah, it's true. Because you can have talent, but at the same time, you've got to kind of nurture it But like you put the time in to
Yeah, it's
develop
like
it.
that saying, hard work beats talent every time talent doesn't work hard.
Wow, good
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
bro.
No, it's
I
hard-
love that
That's a
saying.
good one.
Yeah,
What was
yeah.
that again? Hard work beats talent
Every time talent doesn't work hard.
There you go. Because there's so many talented people, able-bodied people, but lazy, or
Yeah,
they don't
it's
want to
wasting it.
wasting it, bro.
Yeah.
They don't want to. They don't want to put the
Whereas
work
the
in.
hard work will beat that.
Hard work will always beat talent. That's
Yeah.
like me with tattooing. Like, I was never like a good artist, I would say. Like, I was predicted like A's in art, but we ended up getting like C's and D's. So I never studied art further. But I thought, you know what? Like, I'm gonna go for it, man. Like a few years later, I'm gonna go for it because I read The Secret, and it opened my mind to like knowing that you can actually achieve what you want if you put your mind to it.
Exactly that, yeah.
So I had to go through all that as well. Like, are people gonna like what I'm doing? Like, I'm not really a good artist. Like, I need to get better at this. And you care what other people think, right? But through my journey of tattooing, it kind of being consistent. It kind of got better. Like, my art got better with my tattooing together.
application.
Yeah, bro. So as you develop it, you get better.
Putting that
at
hard
it.
work in, yeah.
Yeah,
Because,
and it's rolling with the punches, isn't it? Because the reality is you've probably made so many mistakes to get to where you are today.
exactly, bro.
But something inside of you has literally said, "I'm not going to give up."
I'm
And
not going to give up. For years, I was doing tattoos like subpar, weren't happy with, on friends and family. Some of them don't heal too well. You're learning, I'm self-taught. So, but you gotta get past what people think, kind of thing. Like, as long as the client's happy and you're happy, other people think, it's just all judgment. So after you get past that, if you just keep developing your craft or whatever you're doing, you can only get better, right?
Yeah, it's like my favourite saying from Conor McGregor. I never lose. Either I win or I learn.
Nice, exactly
So,
that.
yeah.
So it's all learning.
All learning.
Yeah, and it's all about, like, where can I develop? Like, where have I gone wrong? Like, can I do this better? Looking back over your work or whatever you're doing and saying, like, yeah, how could I have done that better?
Yeah.
And applying it.
I think one thing that I definitely struggled with when I was younger was being too emotionally connected to criticism and learning from things.
Okay.
When you try these new things out, that you're not constantly just beating yourself up like a piñata and like I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that, because then it starts turning into a place of expectation rather than you aspiring to I want to be better or grow, or even just looking at it from a rationale rather than an emotive place, because all of those things end up being heavy baggage. So you're trying to learn, but you're also creating baggage at the same time.
Yeah,
So
I get it.
the fundamentals is to learn and grow through something, but look at it from a very kind of constructive, rationale place of saying that's what I need to try and focus on improving for next time.
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't do that, and then it ends up
Giving up.
Yeah, you
Like,
give
sometimes you got to
up.
walk it off. Like,
Yeah, you do.
Walk it off.
Yeah.
Like, go for a walk, walk it off, come back and be like, you know what? Tomorrow.
And there is
Tomorrow,
actually
my God.
a super high feeling of when you've done that thing and you've achieved, you sat back and wow, I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to you about the running on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Back at school, I was quite an overweight person when I was younger. And running was definitely not, we were polar opposites, if anything. But I've been running a lot recently, and it's really painful to go through the process. But once you come off that treadmill or off the street, I'm absolutely buzzing, to be honest.
Yeah,
with
it's
you.
like this weekend just gone. There was a girl who said to me, I've always wanted to do a 5K park run. I was like, well, let's go do it. She's like, no, it's impossible for me to do that. I said, no, I'll run next to you and we'll do the whole thing together. So she agreed to it, and it was really hard for her, but we managed to get through the whole thing. And
Nice.
several times through the run, she's like, no, I need to stop. I'm dying. I was like, you're not. Just keep it going. Relax. Stop that negative thinking in your head. Keep going.
Yeah.
As soon as she finished, she was like, I can't believe I've done that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see.
And do you know what? It was quite interesting, because that's what it was like when I started running initially. Oh, my foot, I bear in mind, I'm 5 minutes into this run. It's, my foot hurts. I'm tired. I'm ready to, and there's so much negative self-talk.
It's your head's telling you to stop because
Yeah.
your body wants to keep you safe. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're hurting me as such.
Yeah.
And then you've got people like David Goggins who are completely complete opposite. And he won't allow one single negativity to stop him from doing what he's trying to do.
His own negativity.
Yeah,
he's got the mind on his side, isn't it?
He has. He's really mastered his mind, and it's drove him to the point where a lot of people would look at him thinking he's slightly insane. But for me, it's just that he's so determined to do whatever he's got to do that he won't be part of the reason why he won't get there.
One of his sayings that I love is, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you're in your comfort zone, you're not going to grow.
Yeah.
So you have to be uncomfortable.
100%.
It's like when I do my social media posts, sometimes I sit there and I'm thinking, I don't want to post this. It's making me so vulnerable. I don't want to post it. I sat there for a good half an hour just staring at it. I don't want to do this. I don't do this. I just went, okay, 3, 2, 1, post. Just hit it. I was like, it's gone now. It's gone now.
That's it.
And I really didn't want it to be there. But after about 10 minutes, it was going ping, 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 like. I was like, what?
You see?
Just because it's uncomfortable. You just need to get over that uncomfortableness.
Yeah, because that's where the growth is, isn't it?
Yeah,
otherwise,
that's
where it's like
there's
your
no
muscle,
growth
isn't
in
it?
your comfort zone.
Yeah, if you want a big muscle, you got to put it through some pain.
Yeah,
Or
if you want
some
to
resistance.
get that stronger body, you have to push it through that burn, through that pain.
Yeah, otherwise everyone would be on a certain level where, you know, achieving everything.
Yeah.
If there was no pain to get anywhere,
Yeah,
then everyone would have everything they want. But you got to earn it, right?
Yeah, well, you definitely got to earn it.
You
To
gotta
be
earn
fair,
it,
yeah.
But it's just about being.
It's a mindset.
it's quite interesting because I definitely don't feel fulfilled if I'm too comfortable in life. If I feel comfortable, I almost see it as a negative now than a positive. I like
Next.
I'm always trying to think about the next thing or what I'm trying. And sometimes you've got to be careful because, you know, that you always think about the next thing, then you don't focus on what you've currently got as well. So it's always finding that balance. But I almost like to be in uncomfortable places because I naturally grow through things that are uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I
That's
definitely
where you learn as well.
You learn so much. Yeah. You know, I know we've there's been so much learning through this podcast journey already, and we've barely scratched the side. So, but you know, through repetition, through applying ourselves, things will only get better and better. Just like your social media that you're trying to spread a positive message, you'll get more confident with it over time. You'll attract more people, you know, and and then hopefully inspire a lot more people than you're already.
It's about teaching others from what you've learned in life. So you've gone through the hard stuff and learned. Now you can use that to help others.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be other people going through the same thing as you are.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a duty, isn't it? So
It is.
if you've been given this gift, like, you know, and you've worked hard at it,
Use it to help
Yeah.
inspire others.
Yeah. But do you know what? That is a choice that you've made, by the way. It's not like you have to do it. And,
Don't have to,
and that's the positive thing about your situation. You're taking responsibility. And then you're saying, do you know what? I want to help guide people in their own darkness and almost carry that torch for them.
Yeah.
And that's a very noble deed to do, because the reality is some people don't like sharing. Other people are quite happy that other people stay in their boxes while they grow and prosper. So, you know, to kind of share that with people and grow, because the truth is we should all be happy for everybody to grow together.
Yeah.
We should all come up in that light together. But
There's
I think
people not
unfortunately
willing to help. Yeah.
not everybody wants to help. No. And but you know, we all need help in life, from one way, shape or form. So I think from a good karma perspective, the more people you help, the more opportunity you allow people to help you back.
Doors will open.
Doors will open.
Absolutely. It's like you're helping yourself, isn't it, in a certain way?
It's like, for example, with my Instagram, I started posting videos of how I live life with one hand, how I open a packet of crisps with one hand.
Unreal, bro.
And I posted a video of how I put socks on and shoes on with one hand, which to me is nothing. It's just like an everyday thing. But one lady messaged me and she goes, "Oh my God, thank you for your videos. They are amazing. My husband had a stroke 18 months ago. He has not been able to do anything recently and has been so down on himself. But I showed him your video of how you put your shoes and socks on, and he gave it a go. And she's like, I'm literally in tears because he managed to do it."
Wow, bro.
Yeah.
And like that made me feel good because I'm sharing my experiences and making a difference.
Bro. Amazing.
Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, man.
you should be proud of yourself as well. And to be fair, so it's nice to see that we've all gone to school together, but you see how everyone goes in their different directions and makes their own success story. So no, it's well done for that. And it's funny how perspective is a wonderful thing when how we don't see these things as big deals. And then someone
to
would
someone
look
else,
at
it'd be the whole world.
That's incredible. That's amazing what you've done. Yeah. And that helps set a realization for yourself, I hope, as well, where, it helps redefine things for yourself, because sometimes we take it all for granted. We don't look at it in the same perspective someone else does.
It gives you that kind of like, I have a purpose.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm here to help others.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what? It's quite interesting, because I remember having a bit of a light bulb moment like that myself. Did that happen for you at one point, where a specific moment in time where
I don't feel I'm there yet, but I feel I'm getting there more now. I didn't know who I was. Like, I was so lost. I had to find this whole new life. I had no one to look up to, no one to relate with.
Yeah.
I was the only disabled person in everything I did. So I'm hoping that if I can. So my aim was to be the person that the 6-year-old me wanted to see and be.
Yeah, 100%.
So if I can inspire a kid and be the role model to them that I always wanted, then that'll make a difference.
You're winning.
Did you think that growing up in a normal school actually aided your capabilities? Like, if you went to like a disabled school, do you think it might have hindered your...
I think so, because I always had to try and keep up with others.
Yeah.
And push myself. Is that because I had really competitive brothers?
Okay.
So we were always pushing against each other.
So you got older brothers?
Younger brothers.
Oh, youngers, okay.
Yeah. So they're always playing football in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to kind of push myself to compete with them.
Yeah.
And that kind of pushed me out my comfort zone, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even at school, I'd have to kind of compete with others just to kind of keep up.
Yeah. So it like pushed you to
to keep achieving.
Yeah.
Yes, bro.
And then that's where your mindset actually served you, didn't it?
That's kind of all through life. I've done the same thing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So what would you say is like one of your biggest achievements then?
Definitely winning 2 golds at the World Championships representing England. That was my highlight.
Yeah. I bet.
Recently, so growing my YouTube to 800 subscribers, and I'm nearly kind of getting to the big time, doing talks to inspire others in front of a hall of thousands of kids or thousands of people. Kind of, I was so shy at school. I would even talk to a group of 10 people.
Wow, imagine.
Sometimes I would go super red and shy just talking to a girl.
Yeah.
But now to talk to a whole kind of group of people.
Yeah, especially young children as well, where they're not always the maturest at times either. So no, that's definitely stepping out your comfort zone, to be fair. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, might have to test the waters out and do it ourselves as well.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. I had to do it actually for Gratitude Lifestyle. Me and 2 of my mates, we done like a boot camp for around gratitude and self-belief and stuff like that. And it's it's very rewarding, isn't it? It's scary because kids are quite, they can be you know what I mean? Like,
well, we was all young, weren't we? So we know what it's like. So.
Bro.
What was really moving for me is the first one I ever did was I was so nervous. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was going over my head over and over and over, say this. And the teacher came up to me. She goes, "There's going to be about 2,000 kids in here, and some of them are 5-6 years old, and their attention span can't last the hour. So if they misbehave, don't worry about it. We'll sort it out."
Yeah, hour's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah. And at the end of the talk, the teachers came up to me and said, "I don't know how you did it, but you had every single child attention. That you could hear a pin drop. You just had their kind of whole attention in your whole talk." And that was my first ever one. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just talking and telling them what I've been through.
See, resonate. You captured their attention and their imagination, isn't it?
Yeah,
you kept them.
And she said, even some of the kids that are most misbehaved and trouble, you had their attention. I was like, I didn't know how I did it, but
yeah, bro. It's an amazing story, bro. What you've been through and
it's things
who you are, your character.
If people can relate with you, then that's moving.
It's very true. Very true. So what would your message be if you had a message to what would it be?
To never give up. If you have a goal, aim for it, go for it, push yourself outside your comfort zone. I went from a very shy, self-conscious child with no hope of a future to then being a world champion in athletics, growing a social media, and hopefully going worldwide with my talks. And if I can do it, then anyone can do it.
Nice, bro. It's very true. And this is just the beginning, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
so
you're on the journey, and I think no matter what it is you do, it's all a matter of time as well. Like if you do something for 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 years, like you're gonna eventually get to where you want to get to, and you're gonna be on a high level, right?
Yeah.
So imagine the next 10, 20, 30 years. It's just, you don't even know. I like to say you never know what's on your radar. It's like this. I didn't see this coming on my radar. I know I say it often. Bro, but it's you don't know. You don't know, isn't it? So as long when you put yourself on this path, or whatever path it is, and you're developing and you're progressing, you never know where you're gonna end up.
Exactly.
The fundamentals, by the way, is that you just don't give up.
Yeah,
you just keep going, you
keep growing, keep trying,
yeah,
keep trying.
Yeah, and I'm sure whatever. I've never met anyone before that hasn't worked really hard at something and it hasn't quite worked. So you know, like,
because if it doesn't go to the main goal, it would lead to something else, which would be great.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Anthony, all I can say is I'm very appreciative of you coming on today. By the way, I think you've been an absolute inspiration to a lot of people already, and I look forward to you seeing what else you've got up your sleeves.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No,
and if you want to follow me on social media, it's Bryan Fitness on YouTube and Instagram.
Brilliant.
Give me a follow.
Yeah. So thank you, Anthony, as well. Absolutely a pleasure to meet you, and a very inspirational person. And I wish you the best of luck on everything you're doing in the future, bro. I'm sure it's gonna hit some major highs, even more highs.
That's
and
it.
I look forward to following your journey, bro.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can get you on here again in the next 10 years or something.
see where I'm then. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So thank you.